Hey guys, it's Friday morning, TGIF. I'm here in the hangar and I just need to vent a little bit about something, okay? So last night I spent an hour and a half on the EAA's webinar on the MOSAIC NPRM. So if you go on the EAA's website or if you just Google the word mosaic, MOSAIC, EAA, the page will come up. So basically, what the FAA is proposing to do is amend the sport pilot rules and the light sport aircraft rules to expand who can fly what. Now, generally, we think more privileges are good, right? And conceptually, that's true. However, they have not provided adequate data or rationale for a lot of the things that they're proposing. And I don't think they've really thought through the unintended consequences of such a proposal.
My concern is that this rule will incentivize flight schools to offer sport pilot training instead of private pilot training, because under Part 61 you only need 20 hours of flight time to earn a sport pilot certificate instead of 40 hours to earn a private. Today, there are only about 7,000 sport pilots, but if this rule results in, let's say, 70,000 sport pilots, that effectively means there will be 10 times as many pilots out there who have very low flight time and zero experience training for an unexpected IMC encounter. If the MOSAIC NPRM is adopted as currently drafted, a sport pilot will have almost the same privileges as a private pilot, and this will include the ability to fly conventional aircraft like our Cessna 150 or 152 over here, which has 2 seats, or a 4-seat aircraft like a Cessna 172. The sport pilot would have almost the same privileges as a private pilot, but the private pilot has had to do a lot more training and go through a lot more hoops in order to earn their certificate. Under the new sport pilot rule, a sport pilot would be able to fly this 4-seat Cessna 172, which the FAA currently considers a technically advanced aircraft, and as such can be used for some portion of a commercial pilot certificate. Why is it technically advanced? Well, it has electronic flight instruments, it has a moving map GPS, and an autopilot. We use this airplane a lot for instrument training. It's IFR certified. However, keep in mind that the sport pilot certificate requirements are not changing under the NPRM. That means that a sport pilot training in this airplane would not have to have a minute of instrument training in order to qualify for the certificate, whereas a private pilot, rightfully so, has to have a minimum of 3 hours of instrument training, which is intended as an emergency escape maneuver in case the pilot should happen to fly into a cloud or lower visibility. Is a sport pilot any less likely to encounter that scenario? I don't think so.
The curriculum for the certificate and the practical, to my knowledge, no, I don't think that this rule touches that. No, and again, the changes to what a sport pilot can fly, additionally, what we would normally think of as a complex airplane, retractable gear, constant speed propeller, those are handled through endorsements by the instructor, so they're not necessarily part of the practical test portion of it. So no, there's nothing in the rule that proposes changes or changes to the time requirements or instructional requirements.
Here's a link to the website where you can read the NPRM and submit your comments. They're taking comments until October 23rd. I submitted my comments on July 24th and posted them to our website. Despite all the hype over light sport, one thing that most people don't realize is that sport pilots represent only a tiny fraction of the pilot population. The NPRM repeatedly compares sport pilots to recreational pilots, which is kind of ridiculous considering there's only 79 recreational pilots in the entire country. It is much more accurate to compare sport pilots with private pilots. The NPRM also references AOPA's Joseph T. Nall report. Because sport pilots represent such a small fraction of the pilot population, it should be obvious looking at these numbers why sport pilot has not had a substantial impact on the general aviation safety record one way or the other. I ran this report on the NTSB's aviation accident database and found 1,204 crashes where a pilot lost control of the airplane in IMC. That's only in the last 19 years since the FAA adopted the sport pilot rules. That's 63 crashes a year, most of which were fatal. If the FAA truly cared about general aviation safety, they would scrap this proposal and sunset both the recreational pilot and the sport pilot certificates. The FAA should also consider incorporating additional safety training into the private pilot certificate requirements, consistent with the Advanced Qualification Program, or AQP, scenario-based training that is standard in the airline world. One last thing I want to talk about, the proverbial elephant in the room, is the FAA third class medical. So I think there are lots of issues with the sport pilot rule, but one of the good things about it is that pilots don't need an FAA third class medical in order to fly. The third class medical itself is kind of ridiculous. And does it make any sense to you that sport pilots can fly without a medical with all of these new privileges, but private pilots need a medical? Doesn't make any sense. In closing, I hope you will read the NPRM too and submit some comments by October 23rd. Thanks so much for watching.